Hi and welcome back. In this video, we're going to not use virtual environments, but use something else that builds on top of them in order to make dealing with these projects and dependencies a little bit easier. Enter Pipenv. Pipenv, spelled like this, is a new library that has now become the standard for managing projects and dependencies in Python. Virtualenv was the standard up until maybe a year ago or so, but now Pipenv has taken over just because it's slightly better and slightly simpler to work with. The first thing we have to do is delete the virtual environment we've already created if we are going to use Pipenv instead. In order to delete a virtual environment, make sure to stop using it by typing deactivate. If you type deactivate once you've activated, you will come out of the virtual environment. I'll show you exactly what I mean. I'm going to do activate VM bin activate, source VM bin activate, and then deactivate will just bring you out of it. As you can see, the VM inside the brackets disappears and we're back at our normal Python. You can double check by typing which Python, and you'll see that you're no longer using the virtual environment's Python here, you're using the system Python. Okay. Then we're going to remove the virtualenv folder that we've created. So we're going to do rm-rf venv. I'm not actually sure of the Windows command, so I'll make sure that it appears here on the lecture. But what this does is it deletes the folder that we've created called venv. So just type that. When you type ls again, you'll see that the venv folder is gone. It no longer exists because we have now removed it. This remove command is what it does. It removes things. Then the next thing you must do is make sure you use pip, and make sure you use pip 3.6 or 3.7 to install Pipenv. I've already got it installed, but if you don't have it installed and you get some sort of error, you may have to do pip 3.7 install --upgrade pip. That just allows pip to upgrade itself to the latest version, and then you'll be able to do pip 3.7 install pipenv again. Once you've got pipenv installed, all you have to do is type pipenv, and then you get all the commands and usage examples that you may need. The most important one is the install. Okay. If you have a requirements.txt file already created, then typing pipenv install is going to use that requirements.txt, and it's going to install all the packages in that requirements.txt into the new environment. Notice, and the first thing this does, it creates a virtual env for the project, and then sort of it goes through and it installs a bunch of things. And it creates a pip file, and it creates a pip file.lock. We're going to explain what these are in just a moment. And at the end, you have your setup complete. If you type ls, you can see that there's a couple more things now. You've got a pip file, and you've got pip file.lock. Let's open up the pip file to see what's in it. So I'm going to do cat pip file to see the contents of the pip file. So these here are the contents of the pip file. You've got a source URL, that's where you're downloading your packages from. Verify SSL, whether you want to make sure that the certificates you're using for SSL are correct. The name of where you're downloading from, that's the source. And then the important part here are the packages you've got installed. And notice how they're coming direct from my requirements.txt file. So this is all good. The pipfile.lock is much longer. As you can see, it is quite long and it has a lot of stuff in it. I typed the command up here, so all of this is my pipfile.lock. And what this is a bunch of hashes. And these hashes are the version and sort of some of the contents of the libraries that we've installed encoded into this. So essentially, the entire library has been converted into this number. if the library changes, the number will change. So what is the point of having these numbers? Well, this number is a representation of the library. Again, if the library changes, the number changes. So let's say somebody hacks into the place you're installing your libraries from, and then change the library without changing the version number. You could potentially install the hacked library by accident, because you wouldn't have a way to tell. But if the entire library is converted into a number, and this number is generated from the library, so if the library changes, the number is going to change as well, you're not going to be able to install a wrong library by accident, because now you're checking against this hash. Really, the way this works is quite complex, but that is the general idea behind it, so that if the library changes with or without you knowing, you're not going to accidentally install a wrong version or a hacked version, essentially. So that is the purpose of the pipfile.lock. Now we can remove our requirements.txt file because all of its contents are inside our pip file. Instead of sharing a requirements.txt file with people, you can now share a pip file and the pipfile.lock with people. If they have both of those and they type pipenv install, the pipenv is going to get the contents of the pip file and of the pipfile.lock and make sure to install everything that you need. Now, because we've got a pipfile.lock, we don't actually need a couple of things inside our pip file, which get added there by virtue of us having a requirements.txt file. So if you remember, the requirements.txt file had the version numbers of everything we needed. But the pipfile.lock also has the version numbers of everything, and it has added security, which is this number that's generated from the library. So now we have the version numbers and the security on the pipfile.lock and on the pip file. We don't need it in two places, so we can actually tell the pip file to install any version of the library. Then pipenv is going to make sure to install the one in the pipfile.lock. So let's go ahead and modify our pip file. And I'm going to do this by using the vi command. So I'm going to type vi pipfile. This is not available on Windows. You may want to just open it with a notepad or with PyCharm. But this is going to let me modify this folder here. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the version numbers and replace them by asterisks. Make sure to not forget the quotation marks around things. That can be quite a dangerous thing to forget. Now that we've got all of these using any version, as opposed to a specific version, we can save that. That is what I've done there. I'm not going to go into how VI works in this course. It's a bit more, just different content. It's not really more advanced. It's just a bit different. Not really the place for that. But now that you've modified the file, what the pip file is saying is, these are the libraries I need. What the pipfile.lock is saying is, these are the versions I need. So now you have these two files here. The pipfile.lock has a lot of information on exactly what you want to download. And if it doesn't match exactly, you're going to get an error. And it's going to say, hey, we're trying to install this, but it doesn't match what we thought it should be, this number. So we're not going to do it. That's for security. And the pip file is telling you, these are the libraries you need. So this now is a better setup, a more secure setup than just using requirements.txt. And that is why pipenv has now become the new standard in Python for dependency management. Once you've got your pip file and your pipfile.lock created, and you've done your pipenv install, what's actually happened in the background, and we saw that earlier up here, is that there was a virtual environment created. Let's have a look at what this virtual environment looks like in the very next video. I'll see you there.